Welcome to Allies or Enemies. This time we are looking at Wonderland's War. Designed by Ben Eisner, Tim Eisner, and Ian Moss, Wonderland's War is a 2 to 5 player game of tea parties and bag building battles. Wonderland's War drops players down the rabbit hole and into the shoes of Alice, the Mad Hatter, the Queen of Hearts, the Cheshire Cat, or the Jabberwock, as they enlist various denizens of Wonderland to their cause through card drafting, bag building, and troop deploying in 6 topsy-turvy Wonderland locations. It's an interesting take on area control that replaces direct head-to-head combat with a competitive luck pushing. But is it frabjous or frumious? Let's look at how it plays first, then we'll take a closer look inside the box.
Wonderland's War takes place over 3 rounds with 2 phases in each. First is the Mad Tea Party, where players move around the table selecting 1 card each turn. Most cards add supporters to a district along with benefits like chips, Wonderlandians, quest cards, leadership hour, or removing Madness Shards. Some also force you to take Madness Shards, as does moving past the head of the table. This phase ends once everyone has chosen 4 cards, or 5 in a 2-player game, and then you fight. Starting with wherever the Vorpal Blade is, everyone with a unit in the region puts their hands in their bag and draws out a chip. If it's a friendly one, you move up the battle track. If it's Madness, you add it to your Madness track and lose 1 or sometimes 2 supporters from the battle. Then you do it again. If you ever fill your Madness track, you put all your Exhausted and Madness tokens back in your bag. If you ever lose all of your supporters, you lose and go to 0. If you ever choose to pass, you're out of the battle, but stay where you are. If you are furthest up the track when the smoke clears, you win, and you get a castle and victory points for your troubles. Among all of this, you'll also be fulfilling quests, forging tokens for bonuses, and using various ally and leader powers. At the end of 3 rounds, you add points for your castles and your finished quests, lose points for your Madness Shards, then add it all up and see who is the true ruler of Wonderland.
A big part of the draw for Wonderland's War is its style, and it has it in spades. Or hearts. We have the regular retail edition without the minis or the upgraded tokens, and it still feels pretty darn fancy. The main board is huge, which is kind of necessary if you have 5 players, all with various Wonderlandians and follower meeples cramming into the Red Queen's Keep and Tulgey Woods. The Central Tea Party Rondelle is a terrific way to draft cards, and all of those cards are solid quality with nice clear icons. Also the chips, well, certainly not as nice and clanky as the upgraded versions, are still well made. The standees are great, and the player boards do a good job of laying everything out. Perhaps most importantly, there are player aids galore, both with personal round reminders and a huge shared flowchart that makes sure nothing gets missed. For a game about nonsense, a lot of thought has gone into keeping players on the right path. But above all, there is the artwork. Artist Manny Trembley brings the wonderful madness of Wonderland to every corner of the game. It's all bright and fantastical, but with just enough of a dark edge in all of the right places. If there is one thing we miss in the non-deluxe version, it's the faction-specific supporters, but maybe they'll come out separately one day.
Wonderland's War plays for 2 to 5 players. So far, our focus has been on the 2-player game, and it works really well at that count. There are a bunch of tweaks that help, including specific 2-player sides for all the player boards, removing one of the battle regions at random, and an NPC cube that's added to the battle strength trackers and works as a minimum bar for points. It all makes for a solid head-to-head pusher luck experience, and so far every game has been super close. At 3 or 4 players, you will fill out the map a little bit more and have some more chaos, and there's bound to be a bit more tension in those 3 and 4-way bag drawing battles, but there will be some downtime during the battles that you're not part of, even though the game adds a betting mechanic to try to mitigate that a little bit. The box says to add 25 minutes each for more players, and that does sound about right. So if you want to play at 5, it should still work and likely be a grand battle, but make sure you pack a lunch.
Because Wonderland's War is an area control, battle-ish game, there is the built-in replayability of wanting to fight your friends. But there are also a bunch of ways to make those battles different. First are the asymmetric leaders. All 5 leaders have different powers and different playstyles. Alice wants to bring the Wonderlandians together, while the Red Queen commands and fights, and the Hatter uses madness to his advantage. Playing as the Cheshire Cat does not feel the same as playing as the Jabberwock. But on top of that, there are also 4 different powers for each group of allies, a bit like the recipe sets in Quacks, and these can all be mixed and matched if you want. And then of course there is the randomness of what you pull from your bag each turn, which can certainly work contrary-wise to your plans more often than you might like.
Wonderland's War is at its heart a bag-building push-your-luck game that feels very much like a head-to-head Quacks of Quedlinburg, and with that comes both the joys of pulling just the right chip at the right time and the agony of feeling like the bag gods have it out for you. But there is more to it than just that. The card drafting is done well, and the area control is an interesting puzzle, even if it's more a vehicle for the bag drawing than any sort of meaty war game of its own. And it's great how well all of the bits fit together, and though there is a decent amount to remember, it's very much aided by an excellent rulebook and oodles of player aids. And for anyone that loves Alice in Wonderland, there's a lot of great stuff here in terms of style and artwork, though there is a smidge of a disconnect between the big battle theme and the silly, if slightly sinister world of Wonderland. But if you're happy to have the characters in a slightly different context in a game that will have some fighting, a bit of luck, and a real potpourri of mechanisms, and you're okay with following a flowchart or two, there is a fun game to be found down this rabbit hole, and a heck of a pretty one at that. And that is it. Have you played Wonderland's War? What did you think? And what other bag builders would you recommend? And as always, please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we will see you all next time for another game.